What's up guys, it's anmlzro here bringing you all a Cyberpunk 2077 video about the birth of Night City. I like talking about the history of Cyberpunk 2077 as we're looking forward to the future in Cyberpunk Orion, or Project Orion as it's being called within cdprojektred. I'm taking reference from the World Compendium inside of Cyberpunk 2077, the booklet that you would receive within each copy of Cyberpunk 2077. So when we look to the birth of Night City, it all began with one man's vision. Richard Knight dreamed of a city free from poverty, crime, and stifling regulations imposed by centralized governments. In addition, its city council would boast members of the largest corporations. Why? Well, if they could run companies generating billions of euro dollars, surely a city would be a no-brainer. Sunny Cali, megacorps, big tech, what could possibly go wrong? So now we're talking from 1990 to 2020, a history of violence. Between 1990 and 2020, the USA and the rest of the world are ravaged by two Central American wars, 3 corporate wars, and yes, an orbital war. No corner of the earth is left untouched. With each conflict more violent than the past, the demand for cyberware skyrockets. If that wasn't enough, Mother Nature wages its own war. Humanity's brazen exploitation of the planet's resources leads to irreversible climate disaster. In return, it gets acid rain, sandstorms, desertation, and a plethora of drug-resistant pathogens, some natural, some bioengineered, in corporate labs. The America we know ceases to exist. Democracy crumbles one after another. American states succeed and declare themselves free nations. An unprecedented financial crisis cripples the global financial markets. A thermonuclear war in the Middle East sends radioactive ash into the atmosphere, blanketing the entire globe in a toxic cloud of dust. And we're just getting warmed up. You see, guys, I think it's important to understand, Cyberpunk 2077. There's so much rich history that they've built into the lore of this game, that being CD Projekt Red. And that's why I think a lot of times really understanding and going through like, okay, this is how we got to 2077 and where we could be going in the future. Then there was the fourth corporate war in 2020 to 2023. August 20th, 2023, a date drilled into the skull of every school kid. A nuclear device explodes in the heart of Night City, obliterating the Arasaka Towers, the Arasaka Corporation's North American HQ. It's the final straw in the fourth corporate war between Arasaka and Militech. Thousands caught in the blast radius die instantly, tens of thousands more in the days following. The official death toll from radiation exposure is unknown. Around the same time, the legendary netrunner Rosh Bartmoss is killed, leaving a nasty surprise as his last will and testament. His death triggers the release of thousands of viruses and malware into cyberspace. NetWatch, the net security agency, is able to contain the damage. The global stock exchange plummets, international trade grinds to a halt, and the World Wide Web becomes a treacherous no man's land. I would love to see them really kind of dive more into this, fourth corporate war that happened within Project Orion. I think it could be something, just kind of seeing flashbacks or whatever the case is that they decide to do with Cyberpunk Orion. It would be really interesting to really dive more into the fourth corporate war. I feel like they could make an entire game potentially around just that. Then we get to the aftermath, which is 2024 to 2035. The world pulls itself up by the bootstraps. Elizabeth Kress, the president of the USA, declares nationwide martial law and nationalizes Militech, allowing her to maintain some semblance of order. Meanwhile, Japan and Europe are too preoccupied with their own problems to pay any attention to what's happening in the land of the free. NetWatch constructs the Black Wall, a firewall separating the open net from the rogue AIs that have proliferated through cyberspace in the wake of Bartmoss's attack. In exchange for security, the public abandons vast swaths of knowledge and information to the anarchy of code beyond the wall. Corporations begin to aggressively privatize previously owned farmland. Disenfranchised and with nowhere to go, people begin to band together in sprawling groups and clans. Mobile and in need of work, these clans eventually specialize in transport. Soon they take over the trade routes between states. Decades of upheaval and displacement indirectly give rise to a new social class, the nomads. This brings us to the Reconstruction and Unification that happens in 2035 to 2070. American cities begin to rebuild. Night Corp offers free full-body cyberware conversions to people willing to work in radioactive zones. To meet the needs of a newly booming population, dozens of mega buildings spring up from the rubble and debris. Under NetWatch's draconian oversight, cyberspace becomes ever harder for netrunners to move unrestricted, with ever more complex structures hidden from public view. The World Wide Web becomes a thing of the past. Determined to once again reunite the free states under one flag, the newly elected Rosalind Myers ignites one last war with the help of Militech, the so-called Unification War. Only Texas and Northern California, led by Night City, hold out. City Councilor Louis Rhine strikes a deal with Arasaka. Soon enough, a gargantuan aircraft carrier enters Colorado Bay. The Myers-led NUSA, which is New United States of America, decides to back down. And that brings us to the recent years between 2070 and 2077. The warring states, with the exception of Texas, sign a unification treaty ending the war. Night City becomes a free city independent of the NUSA. Lucius Rhine, Night City's new mayor, grants a seat on the city council to Arasaka. For the first time since 2023, the Japanese is greeted in Night City with open arms. It quickly begins rebuilding its headquarters and corporate plaza on the very site where the Arasaka Towers once proudly stood. Once again, Night City bathes in the free flow of capital, the rich in their jacuzzis, the poor in cramped, filthy showers. And there you have it, guys. Brings us to the present day of Night City, but I think that this history that cdprojektred has built is something really special, and I would love to see them dive more into this, whether it's in the next game or they do like a prequel. I think that could be really interesting and fascinating to see, you know, where we got to, where we kind of started from present day, but go back in the past to see all this craziness that happened. I think there's so much rich lore that could be explored in a future Cyberpunk title. But the question is for all of you, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about the past of Night City? Do you think that they should make a game solely around this? Do you think they should make a game all about the past of Night City and the past of, you know, just the Cyberpunk world that they built? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Cyberpunk 2077 content and videos, keep it right here.